What up? It's your boy T-Bear on Reaction. Today's Films Friday. Time to get the meat and potato Films Friday. That is Dead Meat though, and we're in the newer series right now. That is Critters, and we're going to check out Critters 2. This unexpectedly happened because one week I wasn't able to get I had to get some things taken care of. Wasn't able to do the poll or anything just because I had a busy week going on. So decided to make this open for Critters, and now this is going to be officially new franchise weeks as well too. Like that's not new movies, like new releases from Dead Meat though. So following this, a lot of people have been asking about this as well too. Will be the urban legend franchise following once I get done Critters 2 as well too. When I add to the next poll, I may add to the next poll. Who knows? Depends. I might add it to the next poll. I may not. Depends as well too. I might do it just because folks want me to do it as soon as possible. But next week we're but either way we'll get to it soon because next week we'll be finishing off. I think that's the week. That's the week. I'm not sure. No. Next week is poll week. But soon later I'll be finishing off. I can't think. Stranger Things. But anyway, Critters 2, Critters is a cult classic, horror and underrated in the horror series and horror and sci-fi films as well too. Has a great following. So, and this is the one and for as Dead Meat, this is one of the Zoran's babies. This is another one of Zoran's babies other than Tremors. So we'll be definitely checking this out. So without further ado, this is Critters 2 that came out in 1988 as well too. So without further ado, let's get it.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm Zoran Hungry Heifer Gavoyich, and today we continue following the bouncing critter balls with Critters 2, the main course, released in 1988. Critters 2 sees the return of Brad Brown, but without the rest of his family. After the first Crite attack, they moved out of Grover's Bend. Brad's returned 2 years later to visit his grandma for Easter, making Critters 2 one of the few and probably the best Easter set horror film. Much better than Beaster Day, Here Comes Peter Cottonhell. I mean, what the hell is going on here? Scott Grimes.
What do people be thinking? I'm not a filmmaker. So I shouldn't judge, but what they be thinking, yo? What did they be thinking sometimes?
Reprises his role as Brad and is joined by a few other returning Critters actors, including Terrence Mann, Lynn Shay, and of course, Don Keith Hopper.
I knew I was going to be in it, and I was cheap, you know what I'm saying?
One face that didn't return the same was Sheriff Harv, since M. Emmett Walsh declined to do another Critters movie.
Nobody ever gave us flack about that. It always bothered me a little bit.
Well, maybe he was too busy being stuffed on a couch somewhere. Most of the crew also returned, including producer Barry Opper, but one man who didn't was director Stephen Herrick, since he was off working on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Taking his place was Mick Garris in his directorial debut. And surprisingly, Critters 2 was also the first Mick Garris film on the Kill Count. The prog rock looking Garris is a genre mainstay who's written and or directed a whole bunch of horror films. His work includes a ton of adaptations of Stephen King works. And he also wrote the script for gateway horror drug Hocus Pocus. His anthology shows Masters of Horror and Fear Itself have seen him collaborate with dozens of legendary directors. And his podcast Postmortem provides countless in-depth interviews with horror icons past and present. Plus, James interviewed him once for Meetup and vouches that Mick is just as lovely as his hair. Garris wanted a simple movie for his directorial debut, but Critters 2 was definitely not that.
It was everything that's difficult about filmmaking. Locations, nights, makeup effects, all these puppets, children, animals. Everything that's tough about making a movie was in this little movie.
Garris also punched up the script written by David Twohy, best known for writing and directing the Riddick film series. Thanks to Garris's input, the film is a lot more comedic than the first one, embracing its similarities to that other franchise.
It was always a sequel to a low-budget ripoff of Gremlins, but I think there was a little of that Warner Brothers' sense of humor brought to it.
Garris may have also added this movie's anti-meat message, since he himself is a longtime vegan.
You've been eating red meat.
That explains why you got all luscious hair on the pool.
Worst thing you could do to that body.
Love meat. Bad habit.
But even if you don't eat meat, this movie's still got plenty of kills. How many people-shaped Easter eggs will be cracked open by the critters? Let's find out and get to the kills. The movie begins with a tasty-looking title card. Oh, leave some room for dessert there, critters. A couple of bounty hunters complete a seasonal bounty board milestone when they add this hexapod worm to their pile of puppets.
Decapitated I am.
The bounty hunters are revealed to be Ugg and Charlie, and Lee's here too, flying them away from a planet of slime! Are you kidding me? He still hasn't picked a face yet?
Lee stays a nothing face till he finds the right self. Can't live in the wrong self.
Wow, actually very gender progressive for the 80s. Well done. They receive a transmission from Warden Zanti, looking completely different from the first film, because now he's played by Mick Garris's wife, Cynthia.
She wanted to be in that movie in the worst way, and
Wow.
he made sure it was the worst way possible for her.
This claustrophobic woman had to spend over 8 hours completely covered in prosthetics, with her arms tied behind her. I mean, she couldn't even see through the eyes, and
Wow.
They didn't even create air holes for her to breathe through her nose or mouth, which are both covered up, and had to create slits.
oh, come on, Mick. I'd never force my wife to wear an uncomfortable mask.
Zoran, what about Predator, Michael Myers, Babyface, For They Talk?
Okay, well, that didn't count. We were
Oh.
just engaged. Okay, they counted, and I'm sorry.
Shout out to Zoran and his wife. From what I found out, they must. James and him got the same texture. They almost, her and Chelsea almost look like, and they beautiful, by the way.
Love your hair. I was a redhead. They find out they failed to exterminate the Krites, so in order to get fully paid, they have to head back to Grover's Bend, Kansas. And they aren't the only ones, since Bradley Brown, the lone wolf pyro-loving teenager, is on his way to visit his never-before-mentioned Nana for Easter. Wow, this family really does send him to do everything on his own.
Yep.
Since it's Easter, they're gonna need some eggs. So good thing we have the ones from the end of the first film. Oh, actually, we've got a whole lot more of them. Josh, make a note of how many eggs.
48 eggs. Noted.
The eggs are found by a non-dread pirate Wesley next to the old, budget-friendly Brown Farm mailbox. No need to see the house, just pretend it's there. Besides, who needs to see a farm when we get to see more of Grover's Bend? The fictional town was built from scratch by production designer Philip Dean Foreman and his team. They took old warehouses used for police target practice and added facades, in addition to fully building a church. It was all done in Valencia, California, which was experiencing the coldest winter on record.
It's supposed to be spring and warm, and the grass kept dying, and so they'd go out and spray the grass green.
It was so cold, in fact, that their end of filming gift was a pair of wool socks.
Lord.
Embroidered. Critters too. Happy Christmas.
The returning Lynn Shay as Sal is now a reporter for the local newspaper, and she thinks she's got a big story when she sees Brad Brown coming round to the Bend. The head of the paper, Mr. Morgan, says for her to leave the boy alone.
That boy's stories nearly tore this town apart.
And I guess his parents' and sisters' accounts were ignored too? Cool. Maybe just go back to printing stories about Fonzie. Wesley, that Eric Christian Olmos guy, heads down under to Quigley's antique shop. He's there to unload some eggs. And for payment, Not Buck Flowers here gives him some generic beer and a couple of Playboys. Wait,
Lord.
is that October 74? Well, guess we'll never know since he loses one of them on the way out.
Oh,
Good
shit.
job, Wesley. He celebrates his job well done at the Hungry Heifer, a local restaurant with a super catchy jingle created by Cynthia Garris.
At the Hungry Heifer, we won't give you no steer.
Singer, songwriter, and space warden? What can't your wife do, Mick?
Wow.
Aside from, breathe in that costume. Why did you do that to her? Wesley hits on a girl named Megan. Like you do. But his advances are unwanted, so Brad intervenes with an interesting fighting stance. Palms up, with all the
Palms
weight
up.
on the balls of his feet. Unsurprisingly, it doesn't work, and he winds up getting his stunt double thrown out of the restaurant in a fun one-take that then has Scott Grimes pop up into Megan's truck. While giving him a ride, Megan reminds Brad that they knew each other as kids. She tells him she's now a reporter for her dad's newspaper.
Kind of like a Jimmy Olsen with breasts.
Man, I
Lord.
love the interactions between Brad and Megan, even if actor Leanne Curtis didn't think the relationship was
Wow.
realistic.
Serious journalists don't have crushes on ginger boys. I'm sorry, was that rude?
She takes him to his Nana's daycare/home, but Grandma's out. She's back over the river and through the woods buying some of those eggs for the church's Easter egg hunt. She haggles for half and awards her little helper Cindy with a bunny, but it's neither milk nor dark chocolate.
Oh, it's better than chocolate, honey. It's carob.
Carob? Boo! No, not the animal. Why'd you cut that in there, Bree? It's not as common nowadays, but carob was a chocolate substitute used during the natural foods movement in the 70s. The other eggs remain at Quigley's shop, where they're slowly roasted by an open fire until they hatch. Later, Quigley discovers they've eaten all his dog's food. And his dog! Why do I keep doing movies with dog deaths? He tries to get off the damn ground, but the critter babies chew through his foot and the stool. It sends him to the floor and onto the count when he's eaten by these chestnuts. The baby critters were very small rod puppets with limited movement. And when it came to killing Quigley, they strung monofilament through his shirt and attached it to these bitey baby balls.
And on cue, we pulled the string and they all went.
That night, Brad looks through promotional materials from the first movie while Cindy, who happens to be Megan's little sister, stores her Easter egg and carob bunny by the heater. They usually taste better a little melty. That is if they weren't made of fucking carob! Satan's raisin. The egg hatches, giving birth to a widow baby camera operator, who playfully tries to eat faux Barrymore's hands and feet. But Dad's foot is the one you should be worried about, as it turns this critter into Nickelodeon gack.
Boy, your Easter candy's a real mess.
Yeah.
The next day is Easter, and these 30 Helens agree to hide some of those crit Easter eggs all around the churchyard. But the hunt can't begin until after the holiday sermon, which should give those eggs plenty of time to hatch. Yep. There we go! Joining the festivities is Grover's Bend's new sheriff, dressed as the Easter Bunny. Well, mostly dressed.
Oh, this is great. The Easter Bunny with his Tehachapi hanging out.
He's played by David Urson, previously seen on the kill count in Halloween 5.
One of
Sheriff Corwin hops along casually till he finds a hatched egg in a very fun shot. But the fun doesn't last when the critters exceed his suit-to-ball occupancy limit. He tries to get them out, but ends up somehow launching himself through the church window and then succumbing to his bite wounds. Hilariously tragic, but, you know, could have been worse. At least he got his fly up. I have no idea where the critters went, since the townsfolk chalk this death up to
some kind of farm accident.
I'm sorry, what?
Some kind of farm accident.
Really?
What kind of farming machine rips out a man's stomach, seals him back in his clothes, and then tosses him through a window? I'm sorry, do you people spend your holidays with John Kramer? Oh, shit, there he is! Megan convinces Brad to see the retired and recast Sheriff Harv, now played by Barry Corbin. Even though Harv saw the Krites in the first film, this new actor is less than eager to help.
This town can kiss my ass!
He then just drives off into an empty field, and moments later, the bounty hunters land in a miniature version of that field. Charlie finds Chekhov's Playboy, but before he can read it, for the articles, the non-Anawana counselors Ugg and Lee arrive, and Lee's told to transform. They use the nearest material for inspiration in a much less melty and much more booby transformation, which leads to a super silly joke I love when Lee replicates the staple in the centerfold.
Oh, Lord.
Kill Krites.
This transformation effect was done by returning special effects artist R. Christopher Biggs. The bladder used to inflate the boobs broke on the day, so Biggs had to improvise, attaching a boom pole to a faux fun bag and manually pushing it out.
Everybody loves that gag, and it's like, I always cringe because it's not the way it was supposed to have worked.
Lee's centerfold form was played by Roxanne Kernahan, who wasn't officially a Playboy model, but she had done a photo shoot for Playboy that was never used, so that's what you see in the movie. Also, she had to film that nude scene
in literally the coldest day in 100 years.
Hey! Just wanted to pop in to say that she's also in The Decline of Western Civilization Part 2. She's one of the chicks laying around in a bed next to Paul Stanley. That woman was awesome.
Yes, she was. And actually, it was very tragic to learn that she passed away from a car accident in 1993 when she was only 32 years old. Rest in peace, Roxanne. Brad and Megan head back to town, where he gives more dumbass explanations for what happened.
It's always hearing like stuff like that. I mean, especially when they talk about how cool the person is, all as well too. But damn, and it says like old miles like that.
Happened to the sheriff.
Well, it could have been a dog.
Brad, you idiot! You know damn well it wasn't a dog. It was. Thank you, Lynn Shay, dressed like Seance Scam Lucy. And it looks like critters make her so mad, like furry flames on the side of her face, that it's up to Brad to once again go it alone. Dude, just learn to call for help.
Oh, who are we gonna call? Critter Busters?
Good point. I mean, if they're related to the Pinbusters, they ain't gonna do shit. He does a half-assed job by knocking once and then giving up.
Nobody's home. Let's get out of here.
How is that man standing up and opening doors? Whoop, looks like he heard me as he collapses onto Brad. The critters then attack, sounding like Sonic the Hedgehog getting a boner. They fend off the ballsy blitzkrieg, with Sal challenging one to a duel, while another inflates itself like a Peter Frampton pig on the tire. That doesn't go well when they drive off, as it's squished under the tire, leaving behind a critter cake with extra green syrup. They make it back to Grandma's house, where the octogenarian's been fighting off a fridge raider of her own.
Nana, the critters are here. No shit, Bradley!
God damn, I love Nana. But not in, like, that way. I'm married. Brad finds the bounty remote from the first movie, and when he pushes the Deus Ex button, the door and critter explode all over the wall. The bounty hunters are back.
These guys are great.
Yes, they are. The reunion continues when Brad sees a clean and sober Charlie who loves his new job as a bounty hunter. Guess that means he won't be staying long.
I gotta go where the cosmic winds blow me.
Cosmic Winds. Isn't that the name of a space stripper? The bounty hunters somehow walk to town faster than Brad and Megan can drive there, and come across the Hungry Heifer burger joint, overrun by critters and Eddie Deasons. Deason's career consisted of playing the nerdiest of nerds, most notably in Grease and as the voice of Mandark in Dexter's Lab. Deason's then Iggy catapulted away, giving us time for another fun Gremlin Z comedy scene, Critters style. But that fun doesn't last long, since Ugg's dick gun gets aroused by the thought of killing, and Lee here definitely doesn't suffer from penising. Uh-oh is right, as the humanized Daleks start to exterminate, and going off the 14 total I see in this wide shot and the one on the garbage can here, I count 11 critters killed in this scene. 6 krites are blown up by the bounty hunter's wang guns on screen, and another is knocked into a fryer after getting a new haircut. 4 are able to valmorphosize into a larger ball and escape, leaving 4 to be killed off screen from these ridiculous blasts. Ooh, how do you feel about that number, Critter? This movie is a goddamn cartoon and I love it! This Kansas chain restaurant massacre took days to film. The meat and ketchup and other food smells
got old really quick.
Luckily, the Kyotos could take out their aggression by exploding some critters. And those exploding ones had to be made differently from the normal puppets.
We made them out of urethane foam.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were more rigid, so you would actually see pieces explode and break apart.
Ooh, and what about all those pieces?
We would get condoms,
big ass
and
time.
we'd
Here we
put
go.
slime in it and blood and stuff,
Let's
and
see how
we'd
they gonna do
load
this.
them up.
Well, good to know they were practicing safe FX. I'm Bovine, owner of the Hungry Heifer, and I'm here to remind all you little critters that this weekend our Easter Feaster deals are back. This weekend only, you can grab yourself a Moosaya shake, a bonnet o' beef, or a basket of beefster eggs with all the crucifixes. And unlike our Lord Jesus Christ, after 3 days, these deals won't be resurrected. So come on down to the Hungry Heifer. Unless, of course, you're one of them prison-breaking space porcupines, then stay the hell away. My insurance won't cover that shit no more.
At the Hungry Heifer, we won't give you a bum steer.
The escape ball chases folks in critter vision, which honestly makes me wonder why they aren't just vomiting all the time. The ball then busts these pinheads. Before 710 splitting up to continue terrorizing the town. And let's just take a moment to point out the unsung heroes of this scene, the extras, who absolutely gave it their all running from these furry bowling balls. Brad and Megan find her dad, who gets hit by an awkward insert shot of the critter quill. The quill peters him out, and they drag him away, dropping him off at the church before very casually just walking back through town to meet up with the bounty hunters, who are currently trying to figure out how straws work. The Hungry Heifer Hefe whines about the damage to his franchise location, when Lee decides to quantum leap their face into the Deezes.
Kill more crates.
Okay, they try to do just that for a couple of scenes, but they miss all their shots until night falls. Well, hey, maybe it's because this new face isn't working out for Lee. Perhaps the face of a burned-up child molester would be a better fit? Charlie quickly vetoes that idea, since it would break this movie's budget to get Robert Englund in the height of Freddy fever. But that's okay, because Lee reverts back to their previous form and catchphrase.
Kill krites.
They track one of the critters into a totally real alleyway, but find themselves in an ambush situation. Must be a couple of dozen of these things. Lee's screams bring Charlie and Ugg running, where they find Lee's arm chewed to the bone like a pied-to-death security guard. Damn, actually this death makes me a little sad. And I'm not the only one, as a distraught Ugg screams their face away, putting some validity to my thought that these two are more than just work friends. Everyone is holed up in the church since they can't leave town or call for help, thanks to a little critter sabotage. The critters are nowhere to be seen, but they are heard by this shotgun-toting fella, who goes to investigate only to be pulled off screen. Come here! Is he really dead? Oh shit. I guess so. Once again, Brad is on his own, So it's up to him to save Cindy as she jigsaws and zags her way across a field. Brad bats some critter balls away and then throws away his only weapon in order to hug Cindy. Oh, god damn it, Brad. And just as it looks like their critter crudité, a mysterious gunman shoots down 5 critters. But who in the name of Harry Crumb would have done such a thing?
I'm back.
Well, the character is. You're still a different actor.
Yep.
The critters all attend CritCon 88, and Megan tries to help us with our count.
There must be hundreds of them.
Well, that's not specific enough. Josh?
Whoa, that's way more than the 48 eggs from before. Must be a critter orgy or something. That's 1 horny critter and 2 horny critter.
The townsfolk blame Brad for the critters returning, but Clay Johnson is the closer of that conversation.
If we sit around here on our duffs, bitching, we're going to end up tomorrow's leftovers. Now, I don't too much relish that idea.
Oh, that was a delicious pun. More, please. Brad comes up with a goddamn plan and suggests they lure the critters into the nearby hamburger factory. Then they'll lock them in and blow them up. Sounds good, but where are you gonna get the explosives? The hardware store? They're not gonna have any. What the fuck? What store is this? They set up a boom fay of meat and dynamite that's sure to raise the critters' nitroglyceride levels. With a single fan, they waft the smell over a mile, and somehow it works. The critters come a rollin', even slow Jeremy. I guess they can talk now?
Now that's just ridiculous.
Lord.
Unfortunately, the winds change, causing them to go after the live meat. Looks like, Charlie, it's time to prove yourself. And you ran away. And that's which, okay, cool. Our franchise hero, ladies and gentlemen. A larger critter stops them and tells his non-Manscaped militia they'd be better off with cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburgers! And since the Krite social hierarchy is based on survival of the biggest, they make like Autobots and roll out. This caravan of critters consisted of a grid of lightweight aluminum, with wires connecting the critters who were on yokes, so they would roll when dragged across the terrain. Well, most of them. The larger critter ball that leads them was on its own yoke and dragged by an ATV off screen. They get to the Polar Ice Burger Factory and chow down on some meat. Man, do they love to eat. Look at that little guy. He just couldn't be happier. Unfortunately, the Kyotos weren't too happy that production used real raw meat that would get rancid after a couple days of shooting.
They weren't sealed. They would come down and be all over your hand.
Oh, putting those puppets on your hand, they were stinky little bastards.
And when everyone else went home for the day,
We would have to take the puppets and actually spend all night cleaning them.
Oh, it's not so bad.
after some awkward stares, it's revealed that the big critter is actually Ugg in disguise. He then transforms and escapes just in time for the door to crush another critter. Aw, he looks like a fuzzy little Tatum. The townsfolk Wile E. Coyote the Plunger, blowing up the factory and melting the polar ice burgers. This effect was originally supposed to be 3 giant explosions, so that it would top the ending from the first film.
The first explosion burned up all the wires that were going to detonate the explosions to follow. You can't do take 2 once you've already exploded take 1.
Oh well, it still makes for a very happy ending. Brad and Megan celebrate with a kiss as I start counting
the big one.
Absolutely nothing, because those critters ain't dead. They formed one of the greatest things to ever be filmed. A giant critter ball. The critter ball was originally scripted to be 30 feet in diameter. When that proved too difficult, it was scaled down to 10 feet, which was still huge. The ball was built on a geodesic dome structure, then covered with critter heads and fur.
Some of them you're seeing their butts and their bodies.
I still think they're probably
interspersed. They're like 300 faces. Yeah.
Oh, did you hear that, Josh?
Wait, what? Oh, I lost count.
The critter heads had remote-controlled mouths to add movement, but the real movement that mattered was moving this giant thing around. They first tried mounting a bar into a center axle and rolling it on the off-camera side, but that was unreliable when going over rough terrain, and also crushed the whittle critter faces.
Mr. Kyoto, how would you say the test worked out? I think it sucks balls.
Special effects supervisor Martin Breslin fixed the issue by mounting the ball on a trailer so it could be towed. For some wide shots, they used a full-size ball that was actually a weather balloon covered in critter pellets.
Wow.
It would either be rolled by a crew member,
One time it got away from us and rolled down into the canyon. We had to go get it.
or pulled by an ATV, which Charlie Kyoto loved to watch.
Seeing a crowd of people running and this giant furry ball is being pulled and it's chasing them along. It was a hoot.
The critter ball runs over one slow-ass motherfucking extra who leaves behind a cartoony shaking skeleton, just, sitting on top of his old clothes. Yeah, best way to go out is pantsless. And that effect was a happy accident.
During one of the takes, somebody bumped the foot, and the whole skeleton kind of went wiggle. And Mick was like, "Ooh, do more of that."
The gym class pushball of death chases the Grovers back to town, with Megan and Brad in tow. The chase that follows involved the truck-mounted critter ball trying to ram them off the road. It was difficult and nerve-wracking to film.
Having it pound against without ruining anything, very expensive device for what we were doing.
And that goes for the actors as well.
It's very distracting to work with a giant critter ball to the left of you.
The ball and Edward Kyoto arrive in town.
You see my legs behind it,
where it heads straight towards the church to consume midnight mass quantities. Brad and Megan are able to cut it off, but then send their car over a hay bale. And that doesn't do much since they're still able to get to the church on time. The critter ball turns back on course for the church when, oh my god, is that Charlie flying the spaceship?
Oh, nice.
Yay! Charlie's going on an adventure! That's apparently the greatest adventure, death.
No, he didn't quote the Charlie and the unicorn. I was like thinking, where did that from? Oh my god, good old college memories, my goodness.
As he flies into the critter ball, blowing it up and adding, how many critters do we add to the count, Josh?
I started to go cross-eyed from counting, so I'm gonna use math. Assuming the center is hollow like an n-theorem ball, I estimated a 16 critter diameter, giving us an 8 critter radius. So our surface area would be 4 times pi times 8 squared, which is around 804 critters.
Wow.
Damn! Very impressive.
Good shit.
Let's add 804 critters to the bounty board that died in this goodness gracious great ball of fire. With Charlie presumed dead, the town mourns, and Ugg honors him by taking his face. But the next day, as Brad is saying his goodbyes and almost kissing Megan again, they learn that Charlie survived by ejecting himself from the spaceship before it blew up. Totally did not see anything fly out of that ship, but hey, gotta keep him around for the third film. With Ugg's grand facial gesture made moot, he returns to a random spaceship, leaving Charlie behind. Charlie is then declared the new sheriff by the ex-sheriff, who definitely has no authority to do such a thing. Brad and Megan finally kiss, and the movie ends with the filmmakers thanking the fictional folks of Grover's Bend. How many people became the main course in this Easter Sunday meal of a movie? Let's find out and get to the Oh god, critters! Bounty hunter, save me! No, save me! Life signs not detected. Show must go on.
Yeah, turn the Zoran.
Count more Krites.
Power of the numbers, keep on counting.
4 humans and 1 alien bounty hunter died in Critters 2. They were all men, except for my friend Lee, giving us a chart as blue as the frozen meat from the Hungry Heifer. Ha 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 joke. With a runtime of 94 minutes, that gave us a kill on average every 18.8 minutes. As for the bounty board, we can add 824 dead Krites. 7 for the townsfolk, and 817 for the bounty hunters. We win. That leaves us with a critter kill on average every 7-ish seconds. This form is pleasing yet goofy.
Lord.
Now, if I could just get the voice right. We'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to the guy run over by the critter ball. It's the most memorable kill from the movie and so cartoony and fun. It's just, I fucking love it. Dull machete for lamest kill goes to this rando shotgun guy pulled off screen. The most horrifying thing about that was the damage done to my eardrums by Brad. And the Bounty Booty Award for Best Critter Kill goes to the Critter Ball. As how the hell could I not? And that's it. Critters 2 came out in 1988, and due to its poor box office performance, was the final Critters film to be released theatrically. It performed well enough on home video to prompt 2 back-to-back film sequels that I'll be starting next week. But until then, I'm a man who also loves a girl named Megan, and this has been the Kill Count. There we go! We have made it through Critters 2, the main...
Yep, there you have it, Critter 2. So, next week will be poll week. I'm waiting on adding Urban Legend or just... Sorry, holding it out because as I might just do it anyway. Not that week, but like eventually do it anyway. Though as well too. But I'll think about it. But other than that though, this is as well too. Next time we do Critter, be Critter 3, which we see a young Leonardo DiCaprio's in it as well too. But but like I said, next week is poll week. Then week after that will be finishing off Stranger Thing, and then we got that we continue the Alien Predator as we check out the second Alien versus Predator movie, and then we're back to the Critters. But other than that, if you like my reaction, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's your boy T-Bird signing off. One love.